Welcome back to Bankruptcy with Ben. I want to give everyone a quick update that I came across recently on the never-ending saga of the retail company known as Forever 21, which has found itself in bankruptcy yet again. And this update comes from Reuters. And I think it's important for three reasons, which I'll get into. So let's get into it. Okay, so we have from Reuters, Forever 21 creditors face large losses under a bankruptcy plan. So what does that tell us right away is that this is probably not going to be an easy bankruptcy for Forever 21. The first point is straight off the bat, suppliers, vendors, and other unsecured creditors of Forever 21 are getting smoked under a restructuring plan that envisions paltry recoveries on debts owed by the bankrupt fast fashion retailer, a lawyer for who the company's creditors said on Tuesday. So what does that tell you right off the bat? Regardless of how you think that statement sounds, the point is, obviously the creditors are not happy with Forever 21. So we know this is going to be a contested bankruptcy filing. Right off the bat, the creditors are complaining that we're not getting paid, and that's not good. We want to get paid. Second point, the lawyer goes on. Justin Alberto, who represents a committee of creditors, including U.S. and China-based manufacturers and suppliers, added that he is continuing to investigate a January deal in which JCPenney, who everyone knows, acquired Forever 21's parent, meaning the parent company of Forever 21 was purchased by JCPenney. And what happened when they purchased them? The deal obligated Forever 21 and certain corporate affiliates to pay JCPenney's existing debt. So Forever 21 already is in trouble because of their bankruptcy filing. Well, the bankruptcy filing, as we recall, which is going to get us into our third point, is they blamed it on tariffs, which has become a hot topic in today's world. But they were struggling, and during the struggling and during their struggles, what did they do? They took on more debt. That's not cool. So you're taking on debt of another company when you can't even afford to pay your own debt. So we're going to do another video breaking down further what exactly happened in that deal. Why are the creditors objecting? Is it legitimate? Is it not legitimate? We'll get into that. But the main point, the creditors are not happy because they're saying that Forever 21 took on the debt of someone else when they could not even pay their own bills. So, for example, it's like if your friend asks you to co-sign a car loan for him and you can't even pay your own mortgage. So you say to him, well, I can't even pay my own mortgage and you want me to co-sign for your car loan. It doesn't seem very appropriate. So that's really what they're arguing here. But the last point, and this is the interesting point, is Forever 21, if you recall, blamed their downfall partly on tariffs. They said there was a de minimis exemption from the tariffs in which goods that were under $800 were exempt from certain tariffs. And companies, specifically Shane, which was a competitor of theirs, was able to manipulate that by importing these low value items that they could then sell to the U.S. without having to pay tariffs. And large companies like Forever 21, which was not selling directly from an offshore manufacturer directly to the consumer, rather they were a retailer. They would buy in bulk and then sell it to consumers in the United States. So they couldn't afford to take advantage of that exemption because they had to, by definition, buy larger quantities. But what's happening, not often talked about, but Reuters tells us an executive order earlier this month by U.S. President Donald Trump has put an end to the de minimis exemption on goods from China and Hong Kong effective May 2nd. So I think we should take a quick look at the executive order. Let's see what the executive order says. Okay. So whitehouse.gov, further amendment to duties addressing the synthetic opioid supply chain in the People's Republic of China as applied to low value imports. Executive orders dated April 2nd, 2025. So it starts off, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America. So the president signs an executive order. He has to say what gives him the power to do what he's about to do. What gives him the power? The Constitution of the United States, the laws of the United States. What specific laws? The International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the National Emergencies Act, and Section 604 of the Trade Act. So these are the laws that, right here, these are the laws that give the president the power to create this executive order. Now, interesting point, before we get into the substance, is the purpose of the law. The purpose of the law, as we're going to see, is not even addressing these kind of economic concerns that Forever 21 was saying, that it's creating this kind of unfair competition. It's harming them as a U.S.-based company and giving an unfair advantage to a Chinese-based company. That's not even the stated purpose of the executive order. The stated purpose is many shippers based in the People's Republic of China hide illicit substances and conceal the true contents of shipments sent to the United States through deceptive shipping practices. These shippers often avoid detection due to administration of the de minimis exemption. So what the executive order is telling us is that it's meant to stop illegal drugs, and that people from China are trying to smuggle illegal drugs into these small packages, and these small packages do not get as much scrutiny as larger packages, and therefore it's easier to avoid detection because they're smaller and they're not subject to the same kind of scrutiny because this tariff does not apply. So what does the executive order do now? Let's scroll down. Assessment of duties on low-value products of the PRC, the People's Republic of China. Other than articles sent to the United States, blah, 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 but the important point is right here. As noted in executive order dated February 1st, 2025, and then a whole bunch of other executive orders. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. In executive order 14200 of February 5th, 2025, I suspended elimination of duty-free de minimis treatment on articles described above. So what does that mean? Is that he was going to close this loophole, which was going to take away those exemptions from the tariffs. But he said, wait, let's stop. We're going to take them away, but we need to first put in place procedures to enforce this tariff. So at that time in February, he did not yet close the loophole. He said they're going to remain in place. Now, the Secretary of Commerce says we have adequate systems in place to process and collect tariff revenue for covered goods from the PRC, the People's Republic of China, otherwise eligible for this duty-free de minimis treatment. So now we've created better systems, and now that we've created better systems, accordingly, duty-free de minimis treatment shall no longer be available for products of the PRC, which include products of Hong Kong. So there it is, getting rid of that exemption completely. When does it take effect? It takes effect 12:01 a.m. May 2nd, 2025. And that is really the substance of that executive order. So, where does this leave us? It'll be interesting to see if in the long-term plan, or for whatever Forever 21 decides to do, if, for example, they decide that they want to restructure, if they want to close down their stores, they want to sell their stores, is the closing of this loophole going to make it easier for them to come out of bankruptcy? Will make it easier for them to say, okay, now that this loophole is going to be closed starting in May, therefore, it's going to be easier for us to stay in business, or it'll be easier for us to find a buyer. All that remains to be seen, but just an interesting update I wanted to share. We're going to continue to cover this. Again, there's a whole other investigation going on into the acquisition by JCPenney. We'll get into all that. Stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you all on our next video.